Hello and welcome to the Addicted to Growth podcast. I am your host, Jean Richard, and today I am extremely excited to bring you a very, very special guest, David Sledge Jr. David resides currently in San Diego, California, and he is the founder and owner of the Love Project. He is uplifting individuals and spreading love through communication and connection in his community, as well as online, virtually. That is where I'm at, David, online. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting him recently in person, which was amazing at one of his speaking engagements. So I'm extremely happy to welcome David. I am so truly grateful that you took time out of your day. I appreciate you for being here with us. And thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much, John. This is it's a blessing, and I'm very humble for the opportunity just to be here. And again, thank you for reaching out to me. It means the world, and it just allows me to continue to share my story and be able to connect with you on a different level and everything. So again, thank you. It's a
Oh,
blessing to be here, and I'm just honored.
I'm honored as well. So I just when I saw you in person, like I said, we had connected online. I love joining Win Wednesday, which you have collaborated with the Stay Strong, Stay You community for that. I think it's amazing. We'll get into that a little bit later. But when I heard you speak recently in person, your story just really, it really grabbed me. And it's something that I feel definitely others need to hear. So first, what I would start with is in your life, what was a turning point? What was a turning point in your life for you? And we'll go from there. I think these turning points in our lives change just absolutely everything, the complete direction. So tell us, what was a turning point in your life?
Okay. And first, I want to say that's a really great question. And I think for me, so I shared the adage, you know, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And I feel like in our lives, we get so many lemons thrown at us, right? And a lot of times as humans, we're super stubborn. And I know for me, I'm extremely stubborn. And, it was times throughout my life where I was accumulating these lemons and everything, but it didn't dawn to me until I had my lemonade story, which was my awakening. And for me, my awakening was through a tragic situation, but also it was an enlightening situation as well, because it allowed me to see that I truly wasn't loving myself. And that story started in Tallahassee, Florida, in the summer of 2016, when I was going from Pensacola, Florida to Tallahassee on the Greyhound bus. And normally, I took the Greyhound bus many times before that, because at the
Okay.
time I didn't have a car. And a lot of times on the Greyhound bus, you have your little things where, somebody gets out of prison for a long time and everybody on the bus is cheering them on and everything and making it a big deal, which is pretty cool. And then you'll have, sometimes you'll have people on the bus that just scream all of a sudden. So, other than that,
Right.
like
You
it was,
never know what you're going to get.
yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. But I've never been in a situation like I was that day. And basically, I was getting off the bus and I was walking at the end of the platform. And I'm a social person, so I always make friends and I talk to people. So I was talking to some people, and they was telling me about their journey and where they were going next and all that kind of stuff. And I was sharing to them that I was a 22-year-old college student that used to play college football and everything. So that sparked a lot of conversations. And as soon as I got to the end of the platform, and as soon as I got to the end of the platform, 15 U.S. Marshals jumped out of SUVs and they had assault rifles and handguns pointed at me.
Oh my
And
God.
in this situation, the first thing that I did was drop everything, just because I remember the conversations me and my dad used to always have as kids.
Mm.
And he would always like kind of train us on, if you're ever in a situation with law enforcement, do what you got to do to survive and live another day. So, at the time I was so angry because I was like, I know I didn't do anything, but I had to
Right.
keep my mouth shut. So
Mm.
I answered every question that they threw at me. I answered and I left it alone. So, the head guy had his handgun pointed at my chest, and he walked up to me, and he said, "What's your real name?" And I said, "David Sledge Jr." And he said, "F that. What's your real name?"
Oh my
And
God.
I said David Sledge Jr., but I had my hands up. So he grabbed my hand with the other hand of his, holding the handgun at my chest. So I
Oh,
allowed him to take my hand and got into my pocket. And it was funny. It's funny now thinking about it, because my parents used to always get on me about not using a wallet. In college, I never had a wallet. And
uh-oh.
this time around, I was so blessed, so glad that I didn't have a wallet, because he was able to grab my U.S. dependent military ID. And I knew in the back of my head, everything in that situation would change.
Wow.
And they would look at me differently. And I was right. And going through that situation, they saw my ID, so they cleared me. And I didn't realize it until, I saw them on the side of me, like laughing and pointing, that it was a racial thing. And
Wow.
at the time, going through all of that, it makes you bitter, it makes you angry, and it makes you not want to deal with people. And, I realized going through my process of that and dealing with all that anger, that the only person during the time that I was hurting was myself, because
Mm.
everybody else that was in that situation, they moved on. They probably they living their lives and stuff. But I'm drinking more. I'm dealing with more women. I'm doing all this stuff that I'm hurting myself at the end of the day, and I'm just angry and bitter. And people really didn't want to be around me anymore, because I started to lose my shine. I started to lose who David Sledge was, and I'm just
Yeah.
a happy-go-lucky person. Like I have a high spirit, and I started to
Yeah.
lose that until I moved to the Middle East with my family after I graduated college, and that allowed me to kind of make mistakes, but also
Mm-hmm.
look at myself in the mirror, and realize that the reason why I was holding on so tight to this incident is because I was denying or running from even loving myself before this incident.
Oh, wow.
And and I was using everything else as a void. So I used football to fill a void from certain things that I didn't deal with. I used alcohol to fill a void from this incident, trying to run from the pain and all that kind of stuff. But the pain was still there, and I wasn't dealing with it, and I
Sure.
wasn't learning to trust myself, learning to really understand and let go of the past traumas and the pain that I dealt with, and understanding that it's not mine to hold. It's just part
Mm-hmm.
of my story, but it doesn't define me. And this whole the whole awakening, that lemonade story and this incident was just truly, to me, I tell people, it was 2016 was the worst year for me, but it was
Mm-hmm.
also the best year for me, because it
Wow.
allowed me to go onto my path. It allowed me to find myself. It allowed me to really love myself as a whole, right? Because, sometimes when we talk about loving ourselves, we talk about loving the good parts. But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to loving yourself, you got to love all the parts, the past, the present, the good, the bad, the indifferent, all that kind of stuff, because that's who you are at the end of the day. And the good and the bad is what makes us. And it's a beautiful thing. So that really,
So
going through
true.
all of that, really allowed me to wake up and allow me to create something bigger than myself, which is now
Mm-hmm.
the Love Project.
Wow. I love it. So before we get into the Love Project, um, with that experience, would you change anything?
I've never been asked that before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna be real and say no, just
Mm-hmm.
because I believe, at the end of the day, we all get handed things in life, and sometimes, or most times, those things really help shape who we are, and they open our eyes. And I
Mm-hmm.
think for me at that time of my life, I needed an eye opener,
Yeah.
just because I was running from so many things and I wasn't facing those things. And I think if I didn't go through that situation, I would still be running from them things and finding other things, other people, other situations to fill those voids. Where
Yeah.
now, I'm learning to sit with my pain. I'm learning to sit with everything that I have going on in my emotions and really feel them. I don't let them consume me, but I'm able
Yeah.
to feel them and analyze and understand why I'm feeling like that. It's like a puzzle, and you putting the
Yeah.
pieces together and stuff. So, I think if I didn't go through that, or if I changed some things from that situation, I wouldn't be who I am today.
I get it. I totally do. Yeah. That's great that you have that outlook. I agree with, things in my life, things that have occurred. Had I not gone through those difficulties, those storms, I wouldn't be who I am today. You wouldn't be who you are. Um, Now you mentioned that you had moved to the Middle East after college, and that kind of helped um you think about a few things. So would you find that during that time period you also maybe connected with your faith, or were you a believer before? Did your faith come into play at any certain moment in your life? Do you remember how that played out?
So that's a great, man. You on the money today. I love it. I love it. These really good questions, though,
Well, you're
John.
just great to speak with. I really enjoy. Yeah, this is
Me
great.
too. I appreciate you. But to answer your question, um, so moving to the Middle East, and I say it was really special for me, just because a lot of people don't realize this. In the Middle East, they're very spiritual people, and faith is really a big thing there. And for me, for the longest time, I ran away from believing in God.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I was like, man, like I'm going through all this stuff, he ain't helping me and everything, and I just feel like he's not. At a certain point in my life, I felt like he wasn't. I didn't have a connection with God. Like I just felt like he wasn't listening to me, and I just felt like I was cursed or whatever the case is, because all this stuff was just happening, and I'm just like, man, I got it. I'm getting it on my own. Like it's just me.
Right.
And
Where are you?
moving,
Right.
yeah, like it's like, where are you?
Come on,
And
God,
it's
show
like,
up.
and it's like, moving to the Middle East, it allowed me to be around different people that were very spiritual, and it allowed me to open up and analyze and really figure out who is God to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I I don't necessarily see God the same way as other people see God. Like
Mm-hmm.
I believe God is love.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, like I feel like everything that is in this universe is a high vibration of him. And
Mm-hmm.
I tell people the characteristics of the love project come from Jesus, which I think personally Jesus is the human version of God. And I know we kind of go in
Absolutely.
different places and
Yeah, I
everything,
agree.
but I think Jesus came to earth, or came to the world, to basically be an example and show people, because everybody was like, well, God, you're this high, you're this high
Higher
person.
power. Right.
Yeah, we're not you. And then he
Mm-hmm.
proved that with coming down as Jesus, like, hey, you know, you can
Yeah.
do it. You just have to believe, you have to love others, and you have to love yourself and everything. So I think that was amazing. But going to the Middle East really allowed me to understand that and really see that for
Yeah.
myself. And like I said, it was an amazing experience. And also, when it comes to faith, I believe God aligns people, or the universe aligns people with people that you need in your life. Not necessarily who you want, but who you need. And going to the Middle East, I was aligning with so many different people that saw something in me, even when I didn't see anything in myself. And
That's what we need sometimes. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And two people that I love dearly, and one who's not here with us anymore and everything. And I called them my uncles, Uncle B and Uncle Chris. And for the first time when I met them, they took me under their wing, and they really showed me love and really showed me a different way. Like I didn't have to be angry. I didn't have to be something everybody else thought I should be. I could be myself and it'd be
Mm-hmm.
cool. I can be able to look at myself in the mirror and be okay. And I could make these mistakes and really understand that these mistakes don't define me. They're just part of my story that I can use to inspire other people and everything. So it was a beautiful thing. And Uncle Chris, to this day, still inspires me, because he told me, I told him I wanted to do something bigger than myself. I said, man, when I go back to the States, I want to do something with love, but I don't want it to be corny. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, just follow your heart. He said, whatever you put out, the people gonna love. And he said, as long as you love it, it's gonna rock. And I think about that every single day because his words was right. Like, as long as I'm loving it, as long as I'm doing what I enjoy, and it's coming from David Sledge Jr., it's gonna it's gonna resonate with so many other people. So when we talk about faith and everything, we talk about believing in something bigger than ourselves. And for me, I believe in love, and I believe love is connected to God, and I believe at the end of the day, we're all spiritual beings. We're all connected in some type of way, and that for me, the Middle East allowed me to see that and experience that. And I still think it's the dopest thing ever.
I do too, and I agree with Chris. Chris was right. So I'm glad he pushed that, in you to take that step, because what you're doing is absolutely amazing. I
Thank you,
see
John.
your videos on Instagram, just going out there. So let's tell our listeners about what you founded, the Love Project, and exactly what that consists of. What do you do? What is that?
Okay. So the Love Project, and I tell people in the simplest terms, it comes from my own past traumas and obstacles, right? And it was something that in 2016, when I was going through all this turmoil, I was like, man, I had the idea. I was like, hey, I want to do something with love, but I don't want it to be corny. And I heard this album during a time that I was experiencing the stuff with the police, and then the love of my life at the time broke up with me, which was well deserved just because I wasn't the man and person that I needed to be for her. So that woke in some things in me as well. And also I didn't graduate on time due to some other things as well. So it was just a lot of stuff going on during the time.
Combination. Yeah.
Just a lot of combinations, right? And
Yeah.
I heard this album that changed my life. And the album is called The Healing Component by a rapper named Mick Jenkins. And the whole album is about loving yourself so that you can project that love into society and your community. And he used Jesus as an example of that unconditional love. And when I heard that,
Wow.
I was like, bro, I said, man, like this is amazing. He's
I'm writing
taking
this
this
down. Mick Jenkins.
Mick Jenkins, yep.
Got it.
I still listen to him to this day. But he took this concept of unconditional love and seeing people from an eye of love and not from the standpoint of, I want to change people. Because when you look at Jesus, he didn't change when he came to talk to people, it wasn't from the standpoint of, I want to change you. It was from the
Mm-hmm.
standpoint that I want you to see that you are a powerful being, and he empowered at the end of the day, where the world and men and women try to destroy us and try to tell us who we can't be, who we aren't, and everything like that. He
Mm-hmm.
truly took the love that he had from himself and he turned it and poured it into us so that we can feel empowered. And I was like, man, what can I do in my life to put that into the world? And it took some years, and I came up with the Love Project. And the Love Project is this brand of self-love, this brand of love where we empower individuals to love themselves so that they can project
Mm-hmm.
that love into society and the community. And we do that through connection and conversation. So my biggest platform is Instagram and TikTok. And I go around San Diego and different places in the community and I ask people questions. And the questions are always centered around love and self-love, just because I want people to feel empowered. So when I do the interviews, I don't do a lot of talking,
Mm-hmm.
just because I want people to feel like they have a voice and I want people to share their voice, because everything that you say can be powerful and can be used to show somebody else that there's light at the end of the tunnel, because you never know what a person is going through. And going through this experience with the Love Project and going down this path has really allowed me to meet so many wonderful people and really spread my message and not just have me talk all the time, but allow other people to use their voice and empower others.
I love that so much, David. And that's, what a lot of us don't realize. If we do have individuals to speak with, family, friends, not everyone does. And so the biggest part, like you said, is loving yourself. And if they don't have that acceptance from themselves within, they can't move on really, and just the depression, the anxiety, the stress that I see in so many individuals, that just if they would open up. And so, your love project, that's exactly what it's doing, which I think is absolutely amazing. Um, can you give us example of one of your questions?
Uh,
I know, sorry to
so
put you on the spot, but
let me see. Okay, so this has been a really good one lately, just because I've gotten so many good responses about it. Just because, and it's a very simple question, right?
okay.
So a lot of times in our society, we don't really ask people, "How are you doing?" or "How are you really doing?" A lot of times, we look for we give surface answers like, "Hey, I'm okay," and we leave it at that. But for me, I go around and I try to do community check-ins where I ask people, "Hey, how are you really doing today?" And that really allows people to open up and be like, you know what? I could say I'm doing okay, but let me expand on how I'm really feeling and analyze my feelings. So, I'm like, I had a young man, I was like, hey, how are you really doing? And he answered the question and he was like, basically, he had somebody commit suicide in his where he worked at. He's in the
Oh,
military. And it allowed him to feel grateful for just life and just to have the ability to still be around and try to impact others and everything. And I would have never got that answer if I never would have asked him and had that safe space to allow him to open up and be like, hey, you know, I'm doing better than good. I'm grateful. I experienced this situation and it's sad and it hurts because this is somebody that I work with. But at the same time, I'm grateful that I can still be alive and I can still go around and spread love and spread a message and really ask other people, hey, how are you doing? And that's really what it's about. And for me, you know, like I said, I take so many concepts from the Bible, and I think the 12 disciples are super dope as well. And I
mhm.
think, you know, regardless of how people feel about it, I think the Bible is one of the greatest stories ever written. And, like I talked about Jesus, he had a village. He had 12 people that he trusted that, regardless, they had flaws and they weren't perfect, but he empowered them. And with that empowerment, and they started to love themselves and all this kind of stuff. And they took that empowerment and that love and they took it and ran with it and tried to spread that to other people. And that's how you start a wildfire. So for me, that's how I look at the Love Project. Like, I'm this beacon, I'm this person, but I know I can't do it by myself. So if I can learn and figure out how to empower other people and figure out how to have people truly start to love themselves and appreciate themselves, they'll go on and do the same thing with other people. And that's how you start something. That's how you start a movement. And that's what the Love Project is. It's a movement.
Absolutely. I love it because all it's just multiplying, and for you to ask him in detail more, like, no, how are you really feeling? Who knows how many doors that is opened by individuals that see the video that may respond the same way, but like, no, I don't need to be ashamed. I don't need to be so quiet and just give that, surface answer. Oh, I'm fine, which I'm guilty of as well, but asking it more further. No, how are you really doing? For him to share that with you on all levels, from the audiences to hear it, for him, the healing that it must have given, for him to just share that, because of course, I'm sure he didn't want to bring it up to his buddies that are going through the same thing at the job, but just to have an outsider like yourself to share that with, that's just priceless to me. That is so amazing. And just the healing that is happening all across the board.
And I agree, Sean, and I agree. And that's the beauty of it. And I think, a lot of times in our society we get away from connection and conversation. And I'm truly big on that because if you have a conversation with somebody, now you're able to connect. And now you're able to really, whether that be empower somebody, whether that be encourage somebody, whether that be to pour into somebody and love them where they're at, so many things can happen. And that's the
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And I think that really starts the ripple of confidence, which is, a huge problem why people don't open up. or they're afraid of judgment. They're just, but really, we're all humans. We're all the
I agree.
same, and just to give that initiative and start with the questions, it's just absolutely amazing, amazing. Um, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
What's a life lesson that you would like to share?
What's a life lesson that I would like to share? Always be authentic to yourself. I feel like in our society with social media and technology, it's really easy to see other people's lives and be like, hey, that's what I want to do. And for
Mm-hmm.
me to make it, or for me to be successful, or for me to be noticed and appreciated or loved, I have to show up as that, because that's what everybody else is doing. And sometimes you lose your sauce, you lose your seasoning. And I feel like everybody in this world is perfectly designed. And you know, like Marcus said at that conference, there's no other you. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
once we get to the point where we're authentically ourselves and we appreciate that, and we're like, you know what? I don't care what nobody else says. I'm gonna show up as myself. I'm gonna show up as me. I think once we get to that point, we'll be able to change so many things in our society and our community as well. So I always tell people, be authentically yourself. So, if you want to be a speaker and at the end of the day, you stutter, or you have something, you have this tick, or whatever the case is, don't downplay yourself and be like, hey, I can't be a speaker because I don't speak clearly like Les Brown, or I'm not enthusiastic like what's my boy Eric Thomas, or whatever the
Yes.
case is. At the end of the day, they show up as themselves. So show up as you are, because everybody has knowledge. Everybody has something that they can uh uh, uh what is it put into the world, and somebody's gonna look at it, and it's gonna relate to them, and they're gonna be like, you know what? I can relate to this person because this person is real. This person is authentic. This person doesn't sugarcoat. This person isn't trying to be anybody else but themselves. So the biggest thing is just always show up authentically yourself.
I couldn't agree more, David. I totally agree. And that, unfortunately for some individuals, comes with age later on. And again, that is missed time of your life that you're worrying about others, and like you mentioned, social media, everybody wants to live the highlight reel. Well, the highlight reel isn't real, you know? So I love that. I love that life lesson. That is something definitely that I feel everyone needs to understand in their life. Just stop worrying about what others think. And you know, everybody has a story. What works for me isn't going to work for you, vice versa. We don't ever need to compare ourselves and be like anyone else. But
I
I love
agree,
that. I love
and
that.
I
Be your
agree.
authentic self.
And I want to say
So
this too, John. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
yes,
sorry. And
you're
I
good.
want to say this. Like when I speak, I tell people all the time, the advice that I give, or just the experience that I give, right? Because it's not really advice, because it's what I've done, and
Mm-hmm.
it's worked for me. And I tell people at the same time, you have to do what works for you. And everything that I'm talking about wasn't easy. So I don't want to put out there like, he's speaking and he's talking about this stuff and he's making it seem easy. No, it's not easy, but it really just takes accountability and reflection. And those are the two things that I will say that I did in my whole process to really understand and get to the point of where I'm at now, and get to the point of I wanted to live a life of purpose, and I wanted to live on purpose. So those two things right there, I will say work for me, but everybody's journey is different. And I had my spiritual awakening, or my lemonade story started at 22. And for some people, it may
Mm-hmm.
not happen until you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s,
Right.
80s. And that's just what it is, because we all are we're walking on a different path, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, I just want to tell people it's not easy and everything. And when I speak, I'm speaking from my experience, and I'm just
Right.
sharing it in hopes that it will inspire somebody else to start their journey, start their path, or continue going and continue fighting.
And I know it will inspire a lot.
Thank you.
Many, many
Thank you.
people. But you know, what did they say at the conference? Nothing grows where it's comfortable. Only
That's
thing that
true.
grows in a comfortable setting is love
Love
handles.
handles. That's true. That's what they said.
Right,
That's what
right. So, it's true. To grow, you do have to go through a little dirt. You have
true.
to go through some uncomfortable times. Um, let's see. Is there a goal that you're working on right now or working towards?
I would say being more consistent. I think
Mhm.
that's like my downfall with the Love Project. Like, because I have a whole bunch of videos that I haven't even dropped from last summer.
Okay.
And I think sometimes I get this motivation and I'm like, hey, I'm going to drop these videos, I'm going to drop this. But then life happens. So I think for
Oh,
the biggest part, if I stay consistent, I will reach the goals that I really want to reach, which is, being a worldwide brand
yeah.
and allowing people to, or empowering other people all across the globe, all across the world, and everything with my videos and being able to travel back to Japan or Korea or whatever the case is and do videos there and everything and empower people in those areas and those communities. So I just think right now my biggest focus and my biggest goal is to be more consistent so that I can start reaching into other areas and other pots.
I love it. And I could totally see you doing these interviews in China and Japan. I can totally see it.
I would love that. That would be cool. That's the goal though. That is the goal. It's
Hey,
gonna
I
happen.
see it. I see it. But yeah, I totally get it also. Life happens. Life, you know, gets in the way of our goals, dreams, and desires. But I love that. I'm working on the same, being consistent a little more, but we
It's
have
a
to learn it.
process.
Yeah, we have to give ourselves grace.
Yep.
We, like you said earlier, we have to love everything about ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We may make a little mistake. Let's love it. Let's learn from it. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
Here's the issue. What's the solution?
I agree. 100%. I agree.
Now I wanted to touch on really quick about Win Wednesdays, this safe place that y'all have created for viewers to chime in and comment on Instagram. Tell us about that.
Okay, so Win Wednesday is it's a partnership with the Love Project and Stay Strong, Stay You, Becca and Monica, and basically what we do, we get on IG Live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we celebrate wins, whether that be weekly wins or your daily wins or whatever the case is, and we celebrate our wins and we celebrate the wins of other people. And what we try to do is we try to build this community and we try to get a guest that will resonate with the community as well and provide something different. Everybody's different. Everybody has something that they can provide to the world. So we try to expand our horizons and everything like that. And because you never know who somebody's going to touch, but it's really been a powerful thing. And I've met so many people from Win Wednesdays. Like it's really cool. And
Yeah.
I met you, John, and
Yep.
I met like so many different people just off of getting up there, being positive, or just being honest. Like, hey, I really didn't have a good week this week, but my win this week is just me waking up. Like me, it's
Exactly.
a struggle for me to get out of bed, but just me waking up, that's a win.
Yeah.
And we get on there and we celebrate it and everything because sometimes what we forget is to celebrate the small wins, the small victories, because the small wins are what's going to lead to the big wins. And that's something that I truly love and love teaching and love talking about is those small wins. So we just get up there and we just celebrate people and ourselves.
Yeah. I love it. And I mean, who doesn't love having a bunch of cheerleaders on your team? And to me, that's what it is. When each one talks about their win or types it in the comments below and you have the others cheering you on, yeah, that's just, it does something to you.
It
So
does.
I think it's amazing and I am
Thank you,
grateful
John.
for it because that's where I met you. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing because of, and those that are shy, they don't have to come on camera. So
True.
it creates that safe place where you can just type on your computer. And again, just these small little steps are building so much confidence in individuals where it may be lacking.
I agree. I agree. I agree. That's the beauty of it. And it's just it's another platform where we can empower people. And that's really how I see it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Okay, well, I am going to close with two questions for you. I'm gonna
Okay.
give you one at a time
Okay.
because I have a hard problem remembering things myself. Okay, what is something on your bucket list and why?
Come on, buddy, listen why.
Could be
Okay.
any.
So recently I would say what's on my bucket list. I want to start going to colleges and doing the love project, going to colleges and answering questions or asking questions and everything. I feel like, that's something that has been on my heart for a while. And I didn't know what that looked like, but I think I'm going to start it. I get a week off for spring break at the end of this month. So I got a few colleges that I'm going to reach out to and just pop up and do that. I want to start a college tour because, when I was in college, we didn't really talk about mental health. We didn't talk about
Mhm.
self-love and really didn't have somebody going around allowing us to feel empowered and allowing us to really speak our truths. And I want to provide that for other people. So that's on my bucket list. I want to do a college
I
tour.
love that. Yeah. Colleges definitely need that. We all need that, but especially, that those ages. Is
Yeah,
for a lot of kids, it's their first time away from home, or in a completely new city, state, and they're just lost,
yes, ma'am.
and feel alone. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That is an
Thank you.
amazing idea. You've got to do it. I'm going to
I
push you.
will.
I'm
I
going to
will.
be
I will.
checking on you. Don't worry about that. I got you.
Hey, I appreciate that. I definitely plan on doing that. There's a few people I'm
Oh,
gonna reach out to, and there's a lot of colleges here as well. So I definitely want to get the ball rolling on that.
yes, that's going to be a beautiful thing. I can see it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and my last question is, um, if you could ask one question to anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you ask?
Wow. This is the first time I ever got this. That wow. That's wow. What would it be? So I can ask any question in the world.
To anyone, and then what would you ask that person?
So for many people that know me, they know that I'm a huge Marvin Gaye fan. I love Marvin Gaye.
What? Me
Yes,
some Marvin Gaye too. I have a CD.
I
One
think
of the
he's the
greatest
greatest
hits.
singer. He's the greatest singer of all time. Marvin Gaye is my Michael Jackson. So
Okay.
to meet Marvin Gaye, that would be phenomenal if I could do that if he was still alive. But
Uh-huh.
the question I would ask him is just really, you know, how was he able to create such beautiful songs? Because at the end of the day, I feel like, and somebody said this to me a long time ago, I feel like when you talk about creating art, a lot of times people create their best art when they're going through things or when they have gone through things, right? It allows them to have this outlet. And I know Marvin Gaye had a troubled life and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. But for him to create songs like What's Going On or I Want You or Symphony and everything, and you just hear the pain and the
Yes.
passion behind
Yes.
his voice. I really want to know like what made him create these songs. Like what in his life, like what was his lemonade story? I would
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
to be able to ask him that.
I agree. And I connect with singers like that as well. Like Sam Cooke is another one that I love that you could just hear it in his voice. A change gonna come, just
Yes,
songs
ma'am.
like that. Bob Marley, just yeah. That's pretty good. I like your answers.
Thank
I
you,
love
thank you,
it. I love
thank
it.
you. Hey, I
Okay.
appreciate you, Sean.
I appreciate you, David, so much. And tell us where we can find you on social media.
Okay. So right now, my biggest platforms are Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And you can find me at the Love Project Collective. On all my platforms is all the same. And I'm still small with my audience, so I'm able to. You send me a DM, I respond back and all that kind of stuff in a timely manner and everything. And I love just getting feedback and hearing from people. And I love collaborations and opportunities. So I'm always open to those experiences. but you can find me on the Love Project Collective on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
And I will definitely be dropping that in the show notes as well. So
Okay.
everybody will have that available to them as well to connect with you, David. And I am, again, so honored that you were able to join us today. I am so grateful for, just meeting you and this relationship that we're developing and spreading love. So I just can see so much in store for the Love Project.
Hey, John, I appreciate that. I want to say thank you so much. And, this was really another opportunity to connect and really talk to you and continue to build that relationship and create that foundation of a great friendship. So again, thank you so much. And I love what you're doing with your platform. Growth is an important thing. And for you to come up here and speak about growth and also, allow space for other people to come on here to share their messages and everything is truly powerful. And it shows a lot of your character. And I know you're going to continue to grow and continue to blow up with anything and everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. That means the world to me. I
You're
truly
welcome.
appreciate it. I
You're
truly
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Well, thank you so much. And again, I am so honored that you were here with us. And for the Addicted to Growth podcast, I'll see you soon.
Thank you, John. Y'all take it easy.
All
Bye.
right. Take care. Bye bye.